Okay, we're going to start now. Dr. Rajiv Tiwari, I'll request Dr. Sandeep sir to please introduce our the guest speaker today. So over to Dr.
Yes,
Sandeep.
thank you, Jasmeet sir. It's really a warm welcome for Dr. Rajiv Tiwari on the behalf of LBF Campus, Nepal. If I brief about the our distinguished guest for today, Dr. Rajiv Tiwari is working as this senior associate professor in School of Computer Science in University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun. He's a senior IEEE member. He has done PhD in CSE from Thapar University, Patiala. He has more than 15 years of research and teaching experience. His broad areas of research are cloud computing, MANETs, VANETs, fog computing, quality of services in such networking environments, cache invalidation techniques, IoT, big data analytics, and machine learning are also a few of the areas where he has lots of expertise. He's also an expert in simulation and design of scenario on NS2, Sumo, and Move kind of advanced tools for network and simulations. His research interests and contributions are also in the field of content-centric network CCN, which is an alternative communication methodology for communication without using IP addresses. He is an active member of ACM, IE, IACSIT, and IAENG. He has over 35 international publications in SCI and Scopus Index journals and conferences. His publications are majorly indexed in SCI, Scopus, and DBLP. He has published patents as well in CCN field. He has enriched experience in organizing conferences successfully. He has organized many conferences with Springer and IEEE. He has delivered keynotes in various conferences and chaired many sessions in various international conferences. He is a lead reviewer in many SCI index journals of Springer, IEEE, Science Direct, and many more. He has edited many books with Springer, Taylor Francis, and published so many book chapters with international and renowned publishers. So we really obliged to welcome Dr. Rajiv Tiwari for joining us for this session, and we are really looking forward to see lots of learning for all the attendees which are who have joined the room and those who are looking at the live Facebook page from LBF. Rajiv sir, hand over to you.
Thank you, Sandeep sir. Thanks a lot. So, firstly, I want to say thanks to have me over here. And really, it's a great vision from LBEF. During this difficult time, they have come up with such kind of event, with such kind of webinar series for their students. That shows their concern towards them. And I want to congratulate everyone who are the participants that they have taken a step ahead for the learning. And as sir has approached me, so it was a time back, like 3 4 days back. So he said that it has to be onto the cloud and some research orientation also, as we have our undergraduates and the postgraduate students. So I have planned it in such a way that it will be helpful for both, like any person who is trying to understand the cloud concepts at the very early stages, as well as if you want to pursue your career or some research work into the field, that is also over there. So welcome you all into that session. So I have sharing rights. Can I share my slides?
Yes, sir, you have sharing rights. You can share the slides.
Okay, thank you, Jasbir. Thank you. I hope this is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for confirmation. So as we know, it is a talk on traditional computing to cloud computing, methodological shift for Industry 4.0. And it is a great time to introduce this topic and to have this content within this series, because as we all know, we are suffering from a pandemic at this time. And we have seen that IT has come up as a survival of all the businesses. So how IT has helped the industry 4.0 and how cloud has helped into it. So that we are going to see in few minutes. So all things that I'm going to cover today are, these would be the outlines. Like firstly, we will start from the very basic concept, like where we do have sport of cloud in our day-to-day life. Then I would be introducing certain cloud computing concepts, which will create your small base so that we can move ahead into the journey. Then why cloud computing is required, and then we will see what in which industry revolution we are nowadays and how that industry revolution has changed. Then that after that we'll see that cloud prospects in light areas, then certain areas I have touched upon where our cloud is acting as a backbone for computing. Then some cloud computing and business data analytics part, then cloud orientation towards food technology and agriculture field. Then I will touch certain more things like of cloud computing with pharma, telemedicine, and hospital industry. So overall, I tried to cover most of the allied areas as well to connect with the cloud, and then we'll see how cloud can help you to bridge the gaps of research into the various aspects. So all these are the outlines. Let's start with its introduction and the very small parts. So before I start, let me show you one part. As you all have seen that from our earlier generation, like a back generation, maybe our adolescence time. So this was the way our desks were looking like. It was having so many things onto it, like a system onto it, some fax was there, some calendars were there, some board was there, for some diary maintenance was there, calculator part was there. So these were the desks with very clumsy stuff onto that. But how revolution has taken place into the IT, it shows you that. So just try to see that clip once, then I will elaborate it further. All the things are being integrated into the one desk, and now we have such clean desks with the help of IT evolution. Just see that. So very famous. It was very viral onto the internet. So I thought to start with this one right now, so that you can have a right perspective to start how IT has changed our lives from such clumsy desk to the such cleaner desk. As I am taking your session today, I am having only single my laptop with me. All other things are not there onto my desk also. And all the recordings, as you see that these lectures are being recorded, this webinar series is being recorded, and that is automatically stored onto the cloud, and that can be accessed from anywhere. You are sitting at your place, you are looking at it. Persons who are logged in onto the Facebook, onto the live session, they can also see that. How this all is possible just because of some IT enhancements, IT developments. And that is your another major aspect into this is your cloud orientation over there. So let's start with it. So first thing first, I will start from very basic things. Whether this cloud is a new concept or we having it into our day-to-day life. So as the learning says, maybe to you it would be a new concept, but in our day-to-day life, it has already penetrated into our lives very significantly. Maybe strange to you that where you are using cloud, but let me reveal its introduction or its intervention in our life one to one, one by one. So first thing, during this lockdown, we all have observed that scalable usages like Netflix, Amazon, e-commerce, like we are no new movies are being released. Most of the movies are being released onto the OTT platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime. Some other shopping sites are there. Our physical kiosks were closed, so we used to shop it online. We used to see the content through OTT platforms. That all has happened just because the cloud support over there, because cloud has that enormous storage into it, from where your content can be streamed uh, to your homes, to your television sets. So you will agree onto that point that you have seen such contents onto the cloud storage. Then chatbots, we had interaction. Most of we have our certain chat box with us. As you know that if we are using some Mac operating systems or some any such kind of devices, we have Siri assistants over there, Alexa assistants over there, Eva assistants over there. So all these things are based onto the data which are being stored at their side. Onto that basis, they work onto the machine learning algorithm and they behave accordingly. So Siri, Alexa, they are again another very classical example for the that cloud has given us by putting data and analytics into that. Then communication, as we are doing right now with the help of Zoom. I would have written Zoom also over here. Like communication we are doing with the help of Zoom, Skype, Gmail, WhatsApp, and other emails. All are the classical examples, classical application examples which are working onto the cloud. And you can't deny onto that. You must have used all these things, or at least few of these. Like Zoom we are using presently, Skype, Gmail, WhatsApp, or email you all must have used. Then another penetration, like I will be putting it into the faster ways now. Social networking website we are using, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. You know that the scale of their usages. Facebook, whole world is there. You can say most of the generation is over there. LinkedIn, most of the professionals are there. Twitter, most of the person from the globe are there. So how they're handling it, how they're handling the storage, how they're managing it, how much of the system support they would be requiring. So physical traditional systems will not help in that cases. So their cloud is into the action, where you can see that social networking has taken place with the help of Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter accounts, which is totally dependent onto the cloud backups. And you must have observed that your Gmail or your WhatsApp application, they have demanded you to back up their data onto their cloud servers. So you can see that cloud has taken certain steps into our life to penetrate in our life directly or indirectly. Then some office applications like Microsoft Outlook, for any communication or productive official communications, we use them. It is again a cloud-based application. Then business process management, like population of India, population of China, everyone has mobile phones. How that content is, how their uh, CRM modules, like their role management, how their client management can be done. So all these are being done using their CRM modules, which are again deployed onto the cloud. Like if you are having uh, any of the mobile communication with you, like you have Airtel network, you have Geo network, how your billing is can be maintained, how your profiles are being maintained over there. They are being maintained using CRM modules. So business processes are being oriented using cloud support into their life. So there again, cloud plays a very backbone role in support of the business. Then backup and recovery, I have already told you, Dropbox, Google Drive, Amazon S3, even your application, WhatsApp, Gmail, Zoom, Skype, all they have their backup storage and recovery through your cloud servers. So these are certain footsteps of your cloud applications that we see. Then you can see that your total methodological shift from your listening or entertainment, from your physical songs to some applications like Ghana.com, Savan, music apps. So these are not the traditional ways, because you know that when your father or our earlier generation, they used to play the music, they used to have certain CDs, DVDs, maybe sometimes they have some music systems at their home, some cassette players were there to play the music. So whatever cassettes or whatever CDs or DVDs they used to have, they will be able to play only that much content. But now this is not the case. Now we don't have physical music with us, but we can have access onto the whole variety of songs that are available onto such platforms like Ghana, Savan, music apps, etc. So how all these things are possible? So all these things are possible just because of the intervention of your applications like Ghana, Savan, music app, etc. And no doubt, all the things, all the resources they have, they are being stored onto the cloud platform. So entertainment industry also is stored also using cloud at the backside. We have seen that business production management is also there, productive side is also there, social networking side is also there, and still we people think that cloud is new to our life. So that is not the case. Now we have moved into the next era of cloud, where our traditional computing, like we are not having any of the applications to our on site to log in onto my email account. I can connect to the internet and I can log into my Gmail account from any place. Maybe I'm in Nepal, Kathmandu, I'm in Dehradun, I'm Delhi, in Singapore, or at any other place. I can log into my account. So this kind of flexibility our cloud has offered us. So let's see. So data storage is not an issue, and data storage in such a way that our every second messages, every second calls, every second data with the help of sensors are being stored. You must have heard about Alexa. So when you give that command, Alexa records your narrations also. So that kind of data storage is required nowadays, and that support is being offered to you with the help of your cloud platform. So using storing that data, we have Hadoop, Cassandra, HPCC. Now there are some high-end terms. Maybe you are not aware, but you people are using it directly or indirectly with the help of Siri or Alexa or Gmail or other thing. And then if you are playing some games onto the internet or onto your devices or anywhere onto the communication platforms, they are being created using cloud platforms. And you can see that there are LAN gamings or WAN gamings which can be created using Amazon Lumberyard. So these are certain applications which I have covered just now to give you the importance of cloud in our day-to-day life, where you will be able to connect yourself with any of these, I guess. Or rather, it would not be wrong if I will say most of these. So let's see it further. So how it has happened, as we have seen that computing was happening from the computing devices. Earlier, computing was happening with the computing devices like our PCs, laptops, desktops. But how that methodological shift has come in. Like now we are not saying that we need to have big servers, we need to have big storage devices with us, we need to have some playing CDs or DVDs with us for playing any content. But now we can use them directly. If we have our internet accessibility with us, we can use them. So how we are able to do that? So all this happened when your Web 2.0 was emerged. And if I'm not wrong, it was emerged in 2006. Web 1.0, it was emerged in 1996, and then Web 2.0 came in 2006. So when Web 2.0 came in, so what changes it has done? As it is, as you can see it clearly onto the slide, that Web 1.0, it was having certain websites which were only which were accessed only into the read only mode. That means they were the static websites. They can show the content, but they can't interact with the user. That means only one way communication was there, content was published, you can see that. But when Web 2.0 came in, then with that Web 2.0 framework, the websites have become read write enabled. Like data can be published as well as user can enter data into the websites also. Now both way communication has started from the websites, and even the bandwidth was enhanced in much greater ways, so that most of the websites can be many of the websites can be hosted over there, and many of the users can log in onto the websites. So you can see that clearly into the Web 2.0. So from the Web 2.0, it was a capability that now bandwidths are more. So why only to have internet as one service? Why to have communication or Gmail or your email service from the internet? Why can't we have computing as one service? Now remember, listen carefully my words. Communication or computing as a service. Why we need to have very big clumsy systems with us? Why can't we use them directly from the internet? So that was the concept behind all these cloud revolutions, which was a case of which was the case of happening after Web 2.0. Okay, and nowadays it's Web 3.0, where you can see that we have very big data into that. After that, cloud and big data, and according to that we are using that data for AI and machine learning, and to put intelligence into the machines. So we will see that in the later series of the webinars, I guess, if chance will be given to us. Then otherwise, for today's sake, you should remember that from Web 2.0, your cloud computing started, and even it kicked off from that point onwards, because it has given the capability in the terms of bandwidth also, as well as the both side communications. So certain key terms before I start and with the some high-end content into that part, let me introduce certain key concepts which would be required which will be required for you to progress into your work. So I would be covering these like resources. Whenever we are saying that cloud computing resources, that means we mean to say CPUs, RAM, network, servers, storages, etc. Then you must have heard about that cloud computing is an infrastructure-less computing. So really, can we have any computing without infrastructure? Because cloud is famous for that, infrastructure-less computing. So can we have infrastructure-less computing? Can we compute anything without any laptop or any computing device? That is not the case actually. But Why we are saying then infrastructureless computing? For doing any computing, as let me tell you with the help of that early example from where you connected. Like, as I have to play some music, I will open an app, like maybe I'm taking example Ghana.com. I'm opening that app from my mobile phone and I can play that app, play my music required by me. So I don't have that infrastructure, I don't have songs with me, but I'm able to play that. In the similar ways over here also, in the infrastructureless computing, I don't have computing infrastructure with me, but I have certain applications, or I have certain frameworks, cloud frameworks, where I can log in and I can have access to my infrastructure, from where I can do my computing. So these words, I guess you have heard them very crisply and clearly, that I have to log in onto some cloud platform. Over there I will log in onto the infrastructure that is required for computing, and I can do my computing over there. That means infrastructure would not be there at my on site. At my end there would be no bulk infrastructures, but that would be at the other side, which is your cloud service provider's side. This is another term at the downside. You can see that CSP, cloud service providers. Any company whose framework of cloud I am using, that is being termed as cloud service provider. Okay, so now after web 2.0, this capability, this service has come in with the web 2.0, that now user can log in onto the portal, and they can and and they can take computing as a service also. Okay, so infrastructureless computing means no computing infrastructure at the user side. Okay, so when we don't have infrastructure at the user side, so we are not doing any kind of pollution over here, because servers are not with us. So at my on site, I am doing a kind of green computing, because I am not putting any pollution in the sense of server usages. So it can also be termed as green computing. Then you must have heard that cloud computing can be termed as distributed infrastructure, because as I told you, the scale, if I talk about the Google, about their Gmail accounts, about their Google Drive spaces, so such users and such scales, they can't be managed through one kind of infrastructure. Please excuse me, just give me a second. So such scales can be visualized like Google accounts. Everyone has Google account, and everyone has Google Drive storage also. So from there, how they are managing it, that can't be done onto the single drives. It has to be multiple drives, or it has to be multiple infrastructure for the storage, and managing that multiple storages at one place or at different places by creating certain clusters, by creating certain distributed infrastructure for that sake. I have given an example of the storage only, but that could also be the case for computing devices, maybe for the more CPUs required into the system, more RAMs required for the system. Okay, so that whole data is not consolidated at one place. That can be distributed among the so many other infrastructures also, that can be spanned throughout the globe at the different centers of the Google. So that's why we can say that cloud computing is a distributed infrastructure. Okay, then CSP, cloud service provider, as I told you, big players, big names I have written over here. Amazon, like more than 60% of the market cap is with the Amazon. Then Microsoft is into the race, second competitor. Then next is Google, and then IBM into the action. These are certain big players who have offered very good cloud services for the businesses, for the industry. Then what is SLA? This is again very common term. SLA, service level agreement. This is a kind of agreement between user as well as a cloud service provider. As a user, if I want some services to take it from the cloud service provider, I will fill my SLA that I need a machine. For example, I need a machine which requires like 16 CPUs. Then RAM, I require like, if I require 32 GB of RAMs, then I need Ubuntu system onto that. So that requirement I need to fulfill. That requirement I need to fulfill onto the SLA document, which will be an agreement between client as well as the cloud service provider. Okay, so this is a service level agreement document between cloud service provider and the client. Accordingly, you will be charged because you are using the services from the cloud service provider. Accordingly, you will be charged for that services usages. Here comes the main magic of the business into the cloud computing era. As per your services usages, you have to pay the charges as per your usage basis. That we call as the utility computing. That last word you can see into this utility computing. As per your usage, you need to pay the bills. That's why we call it as a utility computing. And this is not a new case. And this is not the new case because in cloud form, you can see that it's a very new term or it's very buzzing word into the market. But utility computing, the mode of working the cloud has is the utility computing. Like you are using the services, you need to pay the bills. So this is not the new term because at our homes, we can see that our homes are equipped with the electrical devices and we are using electricity also in our houses. And while we don't own that big and bulky power stations, power generation, or such kind of transformers or step up, step down transformers. We don't own that actually, but we are using that electricity that is being generated from the power stations, and we use them. We get metered for that, and we have to pay the bills accordingly. So it is on the same platform. Cloud services are also on the same platform. How much devices you are going to use, accordingly you will be metered or you will be billed accordingly, and you need to pay the bills of that. So I guess this utility computing, SLA, these things would be clear. Then utilization of hardware. As we know that our any machine, nowadays we have generally i7 system. I'm taking very generic kind of thing, which generally everyone has. Any i7 machine, any 16 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM we generally have in our system nowadays. So i7 machine, if I pick any speed like 3 gigahertz, for example, I'm taking example, 3 gigahertz is the speed of our CPU, and 8 GB RAM is the RAM capacity we have. So 3 gigahertz, and that machine that generally cost us about, if I will pick up like 50k rupees, I am picking, like the cost of hardware is 50k, which we are paying. And that CPU has a speed of 3 gigahertz, RAM of 8 GB RAM. Okay. So are we utilizing that hardware appropriately in our own PCs? Can you see that? If your PC has i7 system with 3 gigahertz operations per second, and your system has 8 GB of RAM into it, so are we using that significantly? Have you
Uh,
seen that sometime?
Rajiv sir,
Yes, sir.
your screen is, I think, stuck on cloud computing key terms.
Yes, sir. There itself, I am saying
Okay,
it's
all right,
utilization of hardware, worth, and values.
all right. Thank you. Sorry to disturb.
Okay, sir. Okay. So exactly, if you can see that, uh, are we taking exact worth of that hardware? Are we giving that kind of workload to the system, like 3 giga operations per second? No, we are not able to generate that kind of workload to the systems. So the amount of money we are paying into the hardware, that kind of value we are not generating it from the hardware, because we are not making use of that kind of high end workload to the system. Okay, that you can also see from your system, that how much utilization your system has while you are working. So on this concept also, your companies has come across the business idea that how we can take the exact worth of our hardware. Like if we have deployed some amount of money into the hardware, we should be able to generate most value out of it. Why can't we use 80%, 90% utilization of it? Okay, on that sake they said, okay, let's deploy that hardware, let's put up into the clusters, let's put up it as a service onto the internet, and give it into the access to the multiple users. Okay, so from there, from this idea, your cloud walls came into the existence to have exact worth of your hardware. Presently, our PCs, they are being accessible by only one user. That's why you can see that they don't have much of the utilization ratios, higher utilization ratios onto that. But onto the business side, when any company deploys any hardware, they share that hardware among so many users, so that many users can use that hardware at the same time, and they can have the exact worth of it. And there comes the concept of your capex and opex. So these are two very technical terms for the business ideas into the into the cloud domain. That is capex and opex. Capital expenditure, let me explain you that. Capital expenditure, opex is operational expenditure. So capex is your capital expenditure you need to put in while setting up any business. When you set up any business, how much capital expenditure you need to put in to put up some hardware. That is your capex. And opex is how much operational expenditure you need to put in when you are putting your business onto the cloud. So these are two parameters on which behalf any entrepreneur who can take decision whether they has to do their physical deployments of the hardware, or they has to shift their businesses onto the cloud platform, so that they should not put up money onto the hardware setup. Rather, they can take hardware from the cloud platforms, and they can operate their business from cloud machines itself. So capital expenditure is more, so definitely you will not put up money over there into the capital expenditure, or for the setup of the hardware. So you will shift your business onto the operational side of the cloud and take the hardware from the cloud directly. So in most of the businesses, generally opex comes very lesser as compared to the capex. So that's the reason your most of the companies are shifting their business from the physical sides to the cloud side, because now it is offering them to put up very lesser money into the business starting, while their cost of operation is quite less, and they can start their business quite easily, and they can make more profits into that. So we'll touch upon these things in the later sections also. So this was the point to discuss. Then diversity in the requirements. Then diversity into the requirements and their usages. As we know, in this field, in the field of IT, one thing is constant, that is change, and you all will agree on to that. Now in one semester as a student, if you're working on to some project, the requirement of the hardware is different. On to the second semester, if you're working on to some project, your requirements are something different now, different at that time. So every time go and buy some new devices is not advisable, and is not an intelligent decision also. So how we can cope up with such diverse requirements? So it's definitely we should have the machine from the cloud directly, and we should pay the rental amount for their usages, which will be very lesser into the cost as compared to the cost of our machines. And next point is scale up, scale down. As per the requirements, we can increase the requirement of a machine at any time, or we can decrease the requirement of a machine at any time using cloud platforms. That means using cloud, I can increase the requirements of CPU. I can increase the requirements of GPUs at any point of time at runtime, while this could not be the case at the physical sites. And next thing is dynamic provisioning, and all these enhancements into the hardware and decrements into the hardware, all these things can be provisioned at the runtime at in a very smaller span of the time. So that is the beauty of concept of the cloud computing. At any point of time, at any different requirements that can be established by the established in very few seconds or few minutes from the cloud platforms. I guess I'm able to give you some glimpse of the cloud computing, and undoubtedly this is such a topic over on which we can speak up for days, for months, or for years also. So let's proceed further. So for the sake of completion, I'm putting the standard definitions now for the cloud, as you must have seen that earlier also, because this is the main standard NIST definition, National Institute of Standards and Technology for the cloud computing, which says cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources, network, server, storage, application, and services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management. That means at any point of time, we can enable ubiquitous conveniently on-demand network access computing at which can be monitored and managed very easily. Okay, this is a standard definition. We can't change it actually. So you should see that. So in normal words, I can tell you that we can enable computing infrastructure from any network access devices in very faster manners with minimal management. So there that we can say that it's a cloud computing. Then another definition, you must have heard about the person, Professor Rajkumar Bhuiya. So these two definitions are mostly written in the context of cloud. A cloud is a type of parallel and distributed system consisting of a collection of interconnected and visualized computers that are dynamically provisioned and presented as one or more unified computing resources based on service level agreements established through negotiation between the service provider and the consumers. So both definitions are same, only words and saying the things are different, but the main concept is cloud computing is a model which can generate any ubiquitous computing model from the shared network pool using internet with minimal management. Okay. So after looking at the definition, let's move ahead. Why cloud computing? Why cloud computing? Why we should learn that? As per these words, you must have seen that it's easy to use and flexible for the usage. Anytime we can increase or decrease our requirements. Utilization of hardware. At a physical machine, you can see that most of the time your hardware usage is 20%. While when we put it into the cloud computing environment, our machine usage increases up to 80% most of the time. Okay, to have exact worth of the penny that we have invested into the hardware, to have exact value of that, we should use cloud computing. Then no capital expenditure up front. For starting any business, you should not put up capital expenditure up front. You should put money for the operations directly. Okay, and infrastructure can be taken from the cloud platforms. Least financial losses. When we have not put up any direct money for the setup of our infrastructure, so losses would be least. And we can have various diverse requirements of the business, and no technical manpowers are required because that is being managed by the cloud computing platforms. When we are not putting the principal amount for the business setup, so we would be expecting certain exponential gains into it. And one can be entrepreneur quite easily using cloud computing. So why to become a cloud professional? Nowadays, it's a very buzzing word. Most of the companies are migrating towards that side, and you get chance to work with the big players like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Rackspaces, IBM, SBI. These are dream companies that every IT engineer wants to work with, and you can get a chance to work with them. And you can become your entrepreneur also. You can start your business at any point of time by putting very small amount of principal for setting the infrastructure into this. And diverse scope, not only IT companies, your pharma companies, your FMCG companies, your hospitality industries, your agriculture industry, these kind of companies are also migrated towards the cloud migration. So you have diverse scope of 80% of companies nowadays. So now let's move on. What kind of services we do get from the cloud computing? You must have seen that earlier also. Infrastructure as a service, which I have talked about most of the time just now. Infrastructure as a computing, like infrastructure less computing, I told you. That means we are hiring the infrastructure from the cloud service providers by logging onto the internet. Okay, that comes under IaaS service. And in that you have seen certain examples also: Amazon EC2, S3, GoGrid, Nirvanix. Okay, and how we do that? We do that with certain software like VirtualBox, VMware. If time will permit us, or in some other series, I will also touch upon that: VirtualBox or VMware, how to deploy virtual machines, how to have certain configurations, how to have cloud computing working environments establishment. So that lab session can also be handled using such applications or such softwares. Then once you have infrastructure from the cloud, now on that infrastructure, if you have deployed some application, or if you have established some kind of environment for working, like you have installed Java onto that infrastructure, so that platform of Java, that can be given to the users in the form of platform as a service. Okay, So platform as a service means any development environment can be offered to the clients so that they can generate, they can do their developments onto that platforms. So platform as a service is the second service that is being offered by the cloud. And once that platforms are being offered to to the client can generate any kind of application using that platforms. So that platforms, that application that are being generated, that can be deployed directly onto the cloud platforms, which can be given to the users directly. Now that is termed as software as a service. Any software that is being designed using PaaS, and that can be deployed onto the cloud itself, and that application can be given to the clients for direct usage now. So that comes under the service of SaaS service. That means software as a service. And you must have heard about these Salesforce for CRM modules. Even your as a past service, you have seen that Google App Engine, from the help of which you can design your Google apps. And once you have designed your Google app, that is being put up onto the Google Cloud. So any application that is put up onto the Google Cloud, that comes as a service, as a in the form of SaaS service, software as a service part of application. So these are services that are being offered by the by the cloud computing. Now let's see the industry revolutions, because till now I have mapped you from your traditional computing to the cloud computing side, but how cloud computing is acting as a backbone to the current developments. For that sake, we need to see that which kind of industry revolutions are working nowadays. So industry revolutions are in these phases: industry 1.0, industry 2.0, industry 3.0, and then industry 4.0. So nowadays we are working with the industry 4.0 standard. So what are these? You can see that from, it's very clear from the diagram. I will not consume much time onto that. So industry 1.0 were the small assemblies, then small machineries for working. Then industry 2 were the some bigger assemblies. That means small mechanical machines are being clubbed together to create some bigger mass production assemblies. Then industry 3.0 was some automated systems come in with the large assemblies. And with the industry 4.0, where we are nowadays, over here you can see that mass assemblies or automated production systems are there. They are being connected through their environment also, like they can sense their environment and they can take actions accordingly. That means now the things have worked in the smart senses, like machine is seeing its all near around environment and can take decision wisely over there. So there comes the concept of smart industry, smart cities, smart factories, or connecting the devices, IoTs, cloud, fog, and all that stuff. So nowadays we are working towards the industry 4.0. So let's move on and see how our cloud is helping this industry 4.0 standard. So this is a slide which says a lot of things. The industry 4.0, here we need to connect like our printing devices, any sensor devices, internet of things are there, or internet of things are there, location detection, then some augmented reality, some aggregation aggregation sensor, irrigation, sorry. Irrigation sensors are there, agricultural sensors are there, so they need to be connected. So all these connections can be maintained into the industry 4.0. And you know that when any device need to be connected onto internet, that device need to be enabled with the internet facility. So any device which we want to connect on the internet, that will be enabled by the network facility, and then that device can connect to its server, nearby server. And such kind of ecosystem plays a role in case of industry 4.0 standard. And if we are deploying any sensor, you must have come across certain advertisements of ACs, air conditioners. Like while starting back from your business place to your home, you can switch on your AC and you can set up the temperature also, so that when you reach at your home, your AC would be working in a very effective ways. So how that has been done? By putting certain sensors onto the AC, okay, and putting that AC onto the internet and enabling switching it on or switching it off using internet itself. So that whole kind of ecosystem comes into industry 4.0. So you know that if we have deployed any sensor at any device at the user side, that sensor would be sensing the data and would be generating data at every second. such kind of every second data would be need to be stored somewhere. So that data can be stored at some storage devices. So if, let it be, I'm taking the case that I am putting a temperature sensor. Okay, I'm taking a case like I'm putting a temperature sensor, and that temperature sensor senses temperature after every minute. So now you can imagine how many values, how many entries it would be fetching after every minute. In 1 minute it is fetching the data, in 1 hour it is also fetching the data, for a day it is fetching, like every minute for a day. Okay, every minute for a year, every minute for 10 years. So which kind of data it would be generating, and where we need to store that data, because such kind of physical devices we can't afford actually, in the afford in the sense of not only financially, in the sense of your storage also. Such huge spaces, such huge hard disks we can't store at our home, our own places. So we need some kind of huge storages which should be used for storing such kind of big datas, such kind of data generation. So over there our cloud platform works, which gives you the storage capacities also, which generally we call that they have in unlimited capacities. These are not unlimited, but unlimited means they can be increased at any point of time, so we will not find any shortage of the spaces. So cloud computing can act as a backbone to the IoT. And when we enable any device using sensors, we call that as a IoT device, Internet of Things device. Okay, so your car can be enabled through internet, your ACs can be enabled through internet, your devices, mobile devices can be enabled onto the internet, your temperature sensor can be enabled through internet. Okay, so there can be so many things. Your toll plazas nowadays you have seen, your agriculture farms you can connect through internet, and they can become a part of the ecosystem of the IoT in the industry 4.0. Okay, so whole such sensors would be generating the data, and that data would be stored at the central repository that would be offered by a cloud computing. So cloud computing acts as a backbone for the IoT devices also. So few things I have told you: cloud computing acting as a main backbone for the industry 4.0, then it is acting as a main backbone for the IoT devices and IoT applications. Let's see it further, because when we have seen that various IoT devices, they are creating the data. So this is a kind of ecosystem I am talking about. Any sensor, temperature, humidity, pressure, motion, or any kind of sensor you can deploy at the site. Like if it is a site of your home, you can put up such kind of sensors. That sensors can be connected to the IoT gateways, or which are generally certain microcontrollers. I will touch upon that also. Then that IoT gateways can be connected to the cloud server. And once cloud server has received the data, and you know that cloud server is accessible from the globe, at any geographical location you can use data which is onto the cloud server. So cloud server can be accessible through the globe, and for that accessing also you can deploy some kind of a mobile app. So using mobile app you can use the cloud server, and cloud server can have access to the IoT gateway which have access to the sensors. So in such a way of ecosystem, your ACs are working at your home when you can switch it on and switch it off. Alexa is working from your offices to switch it on, switch it off your lights at your home or some workplace. So such are the ecosystem where your cloud plays a major role. So this is a kind of microcontroller I was talking about in the earlier slide. Just see that earlier slide. This IoT gateway I was talking, this is a general mostly used platform Arduino. This is a hardware that we are going to use for IoT gateways. It's a kind of microcontroller which provides you the interface for the connection of most of the sensors onto it, and which offers general network facility to the for the connection to the cloud servers also. Then why we are using Arduino mostly? Because it is inexpensive. It is inexpensive. It is cross-platform. Like it is not platform dependent. Linux, Mac, OS, any Windows machine or any Linux machine can work onto this. Then simple, clear programming environment we can use. Its programming can be done into a C language. So most of the technical candidates know the C language. It's easy to code over there. Then open source and extensible software and hardware is there. So Arduino can be used. Then sensors, certain examples I have shown you. This is a soil sensor, firstly, that I have shown you. Soil sensor to have a which senses the nutritional value, or you can say constitutional values of the soil. like, or sometime humidity sensor is there which can sense the humidity into the soil. Okay, so such kind of sensors can be used. So now let's come up with it. Research applications, areas in cloud and IoT. So you must have seen that at the big toll plazas nowadays it's a smart toll systems. When your vehicle reaches to the toll plaza, when your vehicle reaches a toll plaza, your vehicles are enabled with the kind of RFID tags. That tags are being read at that toll plaza site. So after reading it, your automatically wallets, which are attached to the backside of your registration number, they are being transacted for the tolled amount, and automatically that barrier is being opened for you. So such kind of applications are nowadays into the action, and which are taking the help of cloud platforms. If you want to study them into the detail, there are certain my publication that you can see. Even I have opened the link also from that paper itself. Sorry, from that paper itself. So such kind of setup you can observe, and you must have experienced also. So this is the image that is taken from my own publication. You can see that, and you can refer that also for more details. As the vehicle approaches at the toll plaza, its RFID tag, which is there into the car, that is being read by the RFID reader, which gives information to the cloud server at the back side, and that cloud server gives you the transacted value. Transaction can be done through your wallet, which is attached to your registration number, and accordingly that information can be passed to the toll manager, and accordingly their systems are being updated, and the barrier is being opened for you. So I hope this would be helpful for you. You can see that, and you can refer that also. Then another application is automated parking system. Nowadays you must have seen that parking is a very big problem. When we reach to any famous places which are very frequently visited by the visitors, we don't find parking over there to park a vehicle. So this is such kind of solutions can be given, like automated parking system, that some applications are being created which client can see at their home, that which are the parking areas available at my destination site where I want to visit, and what is the current status of their occupancy. If we find some occupancy over there, we can fix our parking slot into that occupancy before we start reaching to that place. Okay, so there is another approach which makes use of cloud and IoT devices into another publication which is published into the Scoopus Journal also. You can see that setups over there. You will have a detailed overview from that side. It is a part of that. It is a part of that publication, where these building shapes are certain parking slots or parking areas rather, and every parking area has certain slots which are being registered into the database or data server which is created onto the cloud. Okay, so cloud is managing all the data, or cloud has that data servers regarding to your parking slots, parking areas and parking slots, which can be seen by the users who have logged in onto the cloud for that application, and accordingly they can fix their slots before reaching to that destination, and they can go there and they can park their car, and their bill can also be charged accordingly depending on to their reservation time to the complete exit time. So a very good approach over there. You can see that using your cloud application and the IoT. Then another, air quality index. Like from last few years, you would be seeing that in the major cities now you have seen the displays where do you find the air quality indexes at very major chalks. You know that chalks, like at major chalks, you can see that there are certain displays of air quality indexes. That is happening, how that is happening with the help of Industry 4.0 cloud and IoT collaborations. Certain sensors are being deployed at that chalk, which are fetching the data in terms of air quality index. By fetching the data, air quality index is being generated, and that is being displayed at the runtime onto the devices on that site. Okay, another publication, you can see that I'm not opening that up over here, but you can go to my reference slides and you can find that reference. So I'm showing you only my works which I have worked into these areas. Then some special mentions where you can find some more scopes for working using cloud and IoTs. That is your smart metering. Nowadays you can see that your electricity meters are fixed at your home. Still now persons are coming to read the readings. They read the readings from the towards the end of the month to give you the exact value, how much units you have consumed. Accordingly you are being billed or metered accordingly, and you need to pay the bill. So that kind of task can be automated using by putting certain sensors and the network capabilities to the meters and putting the cloud into the picture. Then your smart home securities of the home. By sitting at my home, I can open the door of my house by sitting at the home. This is again possible by the means of cloud only, cloud and IoT devices. Then efficient power utilization at home and in the smart cities. There are some special mentions on which you can work using your cloud and IoTs. So there are many more. As I told you, this is a field where we can talk about the talk in for few hours, few days, few months. So a lot of content to cover. So when we have such kind of sensors which are generating data in every second aspect, so you can imagine how the size of data would be. The size of data becomes such huge that our traditional computing machines don't work onto that. When they search the data, they takes like minutes, hours, or years to work onto that data. Or sometimes our machine fails to search that data even. So there comes the concept of your big data and analytics and big data clusters into the action. So cloud has stored such big data, and to search that big data, cloud has offered you certain big data analytics techniques also, big data clusters also, with the help of which you can search your data out of thousands of TBs of data. Remember my words, I told you thousands of TBs of data can be searched in few seconds with the help of cloud computing clusters. Okay, so cloud computing is also acting as a backbone in the field of big data and business, and big data and analytics. And you know that any company who has data, they can do their big data analytics onto that to promote their businesses. That's why Google has offered you most of the services freely so that they can have your data at their own server sites. And there is a very good saying nowadays: the company who has data nowadays, that is a king for future into the business. So they can generate so much of the revenue out of the business by making use of that data in their near future. Accordingly, they can predict the future needs, and they can start working onto the designing such kind of products which would be required into the near future. Okay, so that's why you can see that now in the present days, cloud is there into the action. Big data has come up onto that cloud servers, and that data is being utilized by the companies to analyze, to do analytics onto that, to put intelligence into the machine to take the future decisions. Okay, so you must have seen that this is the era of AI and ML. But AI and ML is again can't work without cloud, because cloud is only going to have a big data onto that, and that big data or that data which is stored onto that will be used for the AI applications. Okay, so some special mentions: cloud computing into the agriculture. I guess I'm running short of time. Okay, so cloud computing into the agriculture, so you can read it. Like we can automate our agricultural workflows, like any dependencies. Whenever our fields require watering, why we should go and see the status of our fields, why our fields can't speak up that we need water. Seems very funny, but that is possible by putting IoT sensors into the field, like temperature sensor, like humidity sensor, which can sense the humidity of the soil, and they are being connected to the internet, and they can give messages to the farmer who is sitting at their home that we need water, our moisture level has gone down. So such kind of automation can also be done, which is again future scope for working into the field of agriculture and the food industry. So automated irrigation system, as I have told you, certain requirements I have written for you, and certain experts requirement also I have written for you. So it's a kind of interdisciplinary research would be there. You will require some irrigation or agriculture expert or cloud expert or computer science expert for working, which can deploy the things onto the cloud, and the person who can give you the knowledge of the irrigation and the agriculture. From there, for that perspective, you need some agriculture expert. You can see that scenario or test case also. So schematic diagram you can see if you want to work into this side, and many more are there for your working, but main ecosystem is same which I have told you in the earlier slides. So for more details, I have given you my one link for the publication where I have given a complete ecosystem setup for automated irrigation system, how it is work, how irrigation pump can be switched on and switched on as per the requirements by giving the command from the application which is there with the farmer. That means farmer has an application, and that application will automatically tell the farmer that that fields require the irrigation. On that notification, farmer will switch on or switch off the supply of the water pumps which are established onto the farms. So that can be referred from this publication. So already spoke about all this. So restaurants can be maintained. Pharma, hospital, industries can be maintained using these in the field of telemedicines. Then various fields can be bridged to this side, like cloud computing can offer you licensed software at very lesser price, like MATLAB, Microsoft products, SPSS. There are so many other software also which you can have them from the cloud computing, is irrespective of their physical usages. Then simulator for antibody docking running tests, simulator for protein analysis can be done quite easily using cloud computing platforms. Then any high-end machines required for your experimentation at least cost by using AWS machines can be done. So it can map your multiple requirements onto the cloud platform. Then software support for research like SPSS, Design Expert, Statistica, neural networks, report generation, that can also be done using cloud computing platforms. Accessibility from anywhere and surveys can be done globally because cloud is a central accessible framework. Then machine can be taken quite easily from the cloud, and execution can be done at runtime. And majorly, if you have that knowledge, why to work for someone? Let's start your own business. To start any entrepreneurial work, it supports least cost to start and more chances for making it successful, because you are not putting the upfront money to start your business. So give you more chances of success for being success into your business. So there are some more collaborative works which I am showing you, where you can come and collaborate with me for working. These are CCN fields, which are again CCN fog, edge networks. These are certain publications which are there in 2019 and 20 only last year publications I have shown to you. And these are certain references which you can refer for such works, which I have discussed with you presently. So that's all from my side. For connecting me, you can see these contact details and you can connect with me, or you can go to the social networks and where you can see my profile, and you can connect and you can follow my work over there. Thank you for listening me, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Any attendee wishes to speak something, if they have some questions, they can ask in the chat window. Or if somebody wishes to speak, then I can make them allowed to talk. Yeah, Lokesh want to say something. Just a minute. Lokesh, I have allowed to talk you. You can unmute yourself and talk.
Sir, I have leave a question in the question and answer section. Can you please notify this teacher?
Yes, you can speak. I think he is able to hear. Rajesh sir?
Yes,
you
sir,
can hear
I'm
now?
able to hear.
Yes. Lokesh, please.
Sir,
Okay,
as
his
we
question says, sir, what does it mean by website.com crash? How does it occurs and what are the consequences it brings in our business? .com crash, maybe something different. It's not cloud consequences. I don't know your website is being published on the cloud or not, but for any such kind of rather I can give you the solution itself. For such kind of you should not have such kind of consequences. So it's advisable you should publish your website using your cloud computing platforms. For the sake of, I'm telling you, Amazon EC instance you can deploy, and over there you can use your Route 53 DNS. From that Route 53 DNS, you can have a reliability of 99.9 times 9% of the reliability. I repeat, 99.9 times 9% reliability. So you will not face such kind of crashes over there. And even your deployment cost or hosting cost will also be reduced. I hope I have given you the solution for that. Any other query from any other one? I guess it would be a recorded session, so you can see that anytime, and you can come back with the queries also. You have my connection details with you. Rather, you can drop me any query. I will be happy to answer that also in the passive mode also. But presently, you have got the chance to interact with me, so just ask any if you doubts if you are having in your mind. So I guess no queries I'm getting. So maybe you need some more time, because as I told you, this is a very vast field. So I will advise you to come back and listen to the recordings. And
Yes.
if you find something suitable for your working, connect with Sandeep sir. And undoubtedly, he is really like, you people are fortunate enough that in this difficult time, you people have got the opportunity for the learnings in such passive modes. So connect with him, and I'm available to him always, as you know.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
So, hello.
Sir, I'm online.
Yes. So, on the behalf of LBF fraternity, Rajiv sir, thanks for joining. It was a really wonderful session,
And
Pleasure.
and the entire LBF fraternity and students, faculty, and staff are highly obliged.
Thank you,
Jasbir
sir.
sir,
Thank you.
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
add something?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And I have pasted the feedback link in the chat box. Right, you can provide me the feedback about that thing, and we'll be sending you the e-certificates shortly for that. And
Yes.
I couldn't do it earlier because my system got hanged up somewhere, right? So it took too much of time to
Not an
reset.
issue. Not an issue. All the attendees, please find the link of the form, feedback form. You can fill it up so that your certification can be processed. Fine.
I
So
have.
everyone for joining.
Okay. So I.
Bye bye. Rajiv sir, thank you very
Thank you,
much
sir.
again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
Pleasure.
Thank you.